There's been quite a few requests from the viewers to review this custom 1/4 scale Blade statue, and I've always been hesitant. There's a specific reason why. Well, there's multiple reasons. So stay tuned to find out why I didn't want to review this guy. Welcome to the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X, and in front of me we have an Extreme collectible. This is a custom 1/4 scale Blade statue from the movie Blade. Couldn't think of it. So this is the Daywalker interpretation, meaning it's modeled after Wesley Snipes. Now when I say it's 1/4, that means the real life version of Wesley Snipes is 4 times larger than this. When I say it's custom, I mean it was a private commission. They only made 51 pieces of this. So it wasn't sponsored by Marvel. Wait a minute, Mr. X, Blade is Marvel? Yes, Blade is a Marvel comic, believe it or not. Most people, not most, but quite a few actually don't know that. I didn't know it either. But I found out years ago, obviously. But I am more familiar with the Blade from the Wesley Snipes movie where he's the Daywalker. You have the trilogy. The first one where he fights, what the hell is his name? Frost. And then he fights the Reapers. And then he fights Dracula from Prison Break. And rumor is there's actually a Blade 4 in the works right now. So of course I'm going to see that. But I was a big fan of these movies. I liked 1 and 2 a lot better. Now if you're unfamiliar with Blade, I'm really shocked you're watching this, but Blade is called the Daywalker because he is half vampire, half human. All of their strengths, all the vampire strengths, none of their weaknesses. So the sun doesn't hurt him. Silver, hurts him as much as it hurts you or me. Garlic doesn't hurt him, all that good stuff, but he has all the strength of a vampire, but he does need to feed on blood. So there's a little bit of background about Blade. So I purchased him, as I said, because I'm a big fan of the movies, and I think there's so many cool aspects to this statue that we're actually going to discuss. I would love to put him in some type of diorama, but right now my options are kind of limited. There is the Elite Creature Collectible Reaper statue right here, but it goes for an outrageous amount. These would look fantastic next to each other. I do have the life-size bust of the Elite Creature Collectible Reaper, and actually I'm planning on reviewing him later today. Not launching on the channel, but filming it. And this piece right here, I don't know a lot about it. I've had him for a number of years, but I actually bought him secondhand. I bought him from the Dark Lord himself. And what I mean by that, it's not a racist comment. It is the Dark Lord is Vader, Thor, DCX. So if you like collecting and pop culture stuff, I highly recommend you check out their YouTube channel. Here's a link. And then also in the description, I'm going to put a link to their Facebook group. Purchased many things from him actually, and just a great guy, very cool group to get into, so kind of a sponsor on that. And I purchased this from him a few years ago, so it's custom. He didn't have the box anymore, and he sent it to me, and there's tons of parts. And a lot of people think this is a grail because you don't see it go up for sale very often. Actually, another large part of the DCX group, Rodney, he just sold his a few weeks ago. It's the first one I've seen for sale in about a year. But there's some things with this statue. I love it, but there's some huge problems from the statue. Some are my fault, some are the manufacturer's fault, and some, who knows whose fault they are. And that's why I was always hesitant. So you're going to see some of that bad stuff as we get into it, but you're also going to see some awesome stuff. So as usual, we're going to use the Extreme scale. It's a scale of a 1 through 5 on whether this statue is awesome, and we're going to rank a number of different aspects. Now before we do that, let's talk about the size of him. So he's about 19 inches tall, 19 and a half inches tall. His body alone is about 16 and a half, and you'll see I'm not moving him much. There's a reason for that. The diameter of the base without his coat is about 12 inches. But yeah, some issues. You're gonna find out what they are. But let's dive into the review and find out what's going on. Why was I hesitant to review it? What are the really cool things about it? And with the review, we always start with concept. Concept is, does it look cool? If it's based off something, is it accurate? Does it make sense? Does it flow? So at the bottom here, this is obviously from the Blade 1 movie. It's the temple of the blood god at the very end of the movie where the final battle ensues. And it's really well done. We're going to look at the paint and sculpt later, but they have some of the symbols. It looks like there's blood stains everywhere. The top of the base is very temple-like, a lot of stones, some broken. And as you move up Blade, it's classic Blade from the movie. Has his outfit on. You move up, you see some of the stakes, some of the pouches that he has going on his person. And he has all the traditional Blade weapons. He has the sword, which can be displayed a number of ways. He has his, not batarang, but boomerang that comes back. He has the Blade guns. And he's very serious. There's only one portrait. Has his sunglasses on. And Blade was a big badass. I think Wesley Snipes did a great job encompassing what he was about. So really quick, let's look at the portrait. Did they get the likeness? Because likeness falls into concept. And as you're looking at this, in my opinion, they nailed the likeness. And you're going to see a few other close-ups later without sunglasses and some other options. The fact that they showed every part of his weapons, which there are some switch outs we're going to talk about in design. They tied it back to the movie. Very cool looking base. Not only the fact that it's cool looking, but it goes with the movie. I think one of the reasons this statue doesn't go up for sale very often is because the concept is an X. It's a 5 out of 5. Movie Blade statue, this is exactly what you want. Now it's time to talk about the design. Design means displayability. Does it go well together? Are there any issues? Well, first of all, I want to talk about a few things. I have some issues, some paint chips, some dings, some broken pieces. Now, these did not come from Thor this way. I want a heads up on that. Or they did and I missed them. But I can't clean this statue either. This is some of the bad stuff I'm talking about. But let's just take a look at some of these. So first on the base, this part is chipped off. And there was actually another part chipped off recently that I had to fix. I don't know where this piece is. Then also take a look at his ear here. The paint has rubbed off. Take a look at his jacket. There's some paint rubbed off here. Another piece, and I'm not going to do it, but his butt, there's some big chips in his butt, and I believe it came that way, but I was warned about it. But you can't see it because you have to display him with his coat. So the other two big issues with this that are really bad, it's not polystone. It's kind of a resin, a mix between resin and PVC, I believe. So it's incredibly light, and it's very fragile. That's why I'm hesitant to break it. The sides chip off so easy. It seems like the paint chips off so easy. Now, I didn't talk about price on this. I don't know what the original retail price was, so someone can let me know. But right now it flips for $1,200 to $1,500. I don't think that was the original price, but it, like I said, it doesn't come up for sale very often. Also, a huge miss on this is there's a lot of switch outs in actually the base is one piece, his bottom legs are another, the torso with the coat, his arms and hands are separate pieces, the sword, the sunglasses, and we're going to show all the switch out options. The magnets suck ass. All of them do. That's why I'm so afraid to move it, because not only do they fall out really easily, like you see I keep pushing him back down. This is probably, it's a very, very light statue, but it's the most careful I have to be with any of my statues when moving it. So it's not made out of good quality. It's the QC process wasn't very good. The magnets are horrible everywhere. Things don't set very well, which is such a shame because, as you guys have seen, and when we get into paint and sculpt, there's some really, really good stuff here. Now this somewhat has to do with the magnets, but somewhat not. Where it keys in the bottom, he won't sit flush with both feet. Only one foot will sit flush. So that's obviously an issue. You see this? And here's a close-up right here. And that's probably accounting for some of the broken pieces, why it chips off so easy, the material it's made out of. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. But let's talk about all those switch out options that he has. So first I want to look at his portrait. Here's another close-up with the sunglasses on. While this is the only portrait, you can put his sunglasses a little bit low on his nose. There's a few scenes in the movie like that. Or you can do it without the sunglasses, and as you see, likeness is good either way. For his arms, first you can have his arms draped down to the side, and I'm only going to show the switch outs on the right arm here because you can do the same exact thing pretty much on both hands. And then you can switch out his hands. He has 3 different options. First is that boomerang, the blade weapon, so to say. You can display him with his sword or holding a gun. Now there are switch out arm options as well. What I mean by that, instead of draped down like you saw, it can be held out, pointed out. And you can use any of those different hands and weapons. And you can do the exact same thing with the left hand. And here's just a picture of what they're both like pointed out. But you can have them draped to the side, you can do this, you can do this, you can do whatever you want. The one exception is his sword only works on the right hand. You cannot put it on the left hand, but he has the blade weapon, he has the guns for both hands. So a lot of different display options. And one last thing, if you're displaying the sword in the right hand, you can actually remove the sword from the back, where he traditionally keeps it. So here's a picture of it without the sword. And then here is a picture with the sword. Now I prefer this because it displays all options. Pretty simple. It has a sword, has the blade weapon, has the gun. Now the other big issues, because the magnets are so weak, it creates horrible seam lines. Check this out. Horrible, horrible seam lines on the arms. They keep slightly slipping, but fortunately they don't ever fall out. Now the last issue with mine, and I don't know where this came from. I don't think it came from my house. I don't think it was with Thor. There's kind of like wet spots on it. Not wet, but it looks wet all over the place. And I don't know if the camera's picking them up here. So to kind of summarize, if you stand 24 inches back from this, it looks awesome. But if you dive in deep, there's a lot of issues that may be QC related, they may be quality related. And the magnets for me are a huge thing. When you risk your statue falling over, I think that just makes the design trash. It really does. Now what's really interesting is, I think any statue that I give a score of 1 out of 5 in any category instantly loses value, at least in my eyes. Who knows what you guys think. But I think this one still holds value for all the other redeeming qualities. Like I said, it's funny. The first category, it was a 5 out of 5. Second category, it's a 1 out of 5. So let's see what the paint and sculpt is going to be. And we'll start at the bottom and slowly move to the top. And one other thing, someone can comment on this. I think this was only available as a kit. That's an unpainted statue. I may be completely wrong, but I've heard so many people ask, who did you have paint yours? So I assume it only came as a kit. So please, if you know the answer, let me know. But here's the base. I love the base. It's fantastic, both the paint and the sculpt. I like the movie tie-ins. I like the coloring they used, very Egyptian, and I believe it was in a pyramid in the movie. The different contrasts of sand-like colors and blacks and browns that you see in there. And not only, here you see the symbols full of the fresh blood in that scene where they took from the elders to summon the blood god. But you see other blood stains on here that's old dried up blood. And normally I wouldn't like this, but this is kind of insinuating that the blood's been there for a long, long time. You see the different stones on the top? I love the base. It just looks fantastic. Again, I wish it wasn't so cheap so pieces wouldn't break off very easily. Let's look at his boots. His boots are okay. There's not a lot of detail in them, and here's some of those wet spots too that I talked about. The buckles are where you put it through the laces look okay. The laces could have been more defined. There could have been more creases in the boots. As you move up, his pants are okay as well on the sculpt. It's the classic black color. One nice thing, there's so much black on this statue, but it's not monotonous. Here you see a little bit more creases and folds going on, kind of baggy pants. Always had these leather pants, but not like go out to the club leather or get stuck in your leather pants like Ross. And you move up, look at the stakes. Stakes look awesome, look very cool. The size of them, the color, they're actually very, very sharp too. Not removable or anything, but still really neat. And then up to his area. And I don't know what a half vampire, half human, if he's well gifted or not, but it seems to be in here. But very cool buckles. Moving up his torso, you see his body armor underneath, and Blade was a black on black on black guy, black skin, black undershirt, black armor, black coat, black pants. And let's look at his coat. Coat looks good too, flowing in the wind, a few opportunities in the sculpt with it. The color fades a little bit as you get down towards the bottom. And on the inside of it, you have that classic red color from the movie that added a little bit more character to Blade, and it adds a little bit more to the statue. His sleeves here are very, very similar to his pants. Some folds going on in there. It's good. Nice job on his gloves. Weapons look good too. Very movie accurate on these. And I like how they're not brand new, shiny, so there's some wear in there. It'd been cool if they added some like blood on the blade here. Or on the gun too. I like how it's not brand spanking new, but it's seen its battle with vampires. Take a look at the hilt of his sword. Very, very cool, very accurate. If you remember in the movie, it was booby trapped. So anyone other than Blade, if they grab it, they would lose their hand. And now let's look at his portrait. I think they did a great job with his portrait. I think they not only nailed the likeness, but the expression is perfect for Blade. It's badass. He has those bigger lips that Wesley Snipes has, pursed together like he does so many times in the movie. Sunglasses are accurate. Nice job on his hair too. His eyes, the paint job could have been better on his eyes here. They even got the back of the neck tattoo done correctly. Just some great, great detail in the face here. So this is a really tough one for me. With the sculpt, I think this is really tough. I think the likeness and the things they added to it were so good, like X good. But I think the detail that was missed in, you know, the shoes and the pants and the coat, that takes it down. My gut's telling me that the sculpt on this is a V. It's a 3 out of 5. It's a very nice sculpt. Some of it is X, but some of it could have used some improvement. Paint on this. If I set aside the paint blemishes and issues, like, you know, the paint missing on the ear and the jacket, I think the paint is really well done. I'd have to give the paint a W, a 4 out of 5. And the nice thing is those are all easy fixes. So does this statue have the X factor? Overall, what are we gonna give it for a score? You know, it's interesting. If I have a statue that we give a 5 in one category and 3s in all the other categories, does that mean it's a 3 or a 4? No, it doesn't. Because sometimes the X factor is just how cool and desirable is this statue. And part of it ties back to the character, I believe. If you have, for example, that's why a lot of grails are Wolverines, because everyone loves Wolverine, where you won't see a grail that's a pyro, because only weirdos like pyro. But if you like pyro and you were offended by that, pray through it. You'll be fine. It wasn't aimed at you anyway. It was aimed at my super secret friend I'm not allowed to talk about. So I think that this statue is a rail. I think it's a rail. People have asked me that before. What's a 4 out of 5? It's a statue people really want, but it's not quite a grail. I think if this was made out of a stronger material, if there weren't the paint scuffs and stuff, which might be specific to my statue, and if the magnet issue was taken care of, I think this would be a grail. I think this would be a lot harder to find statue. I don't plan to let him go at all. Gonna keep him unless someone makes a better one, but I challenge you to make a better one than this. I don't think it's gonna happen. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there for me. If some of the close-ups you saw some, like, man, this statue needs cleaned, it does. I'm scared to clean it. So kind of a heads up on that. I've never even cleaned it since I got it from Thor, so who knows what he did with it. Love you, buddy. That's all I got for today. Actually, it's not. I'm going to videotape some more, but this is the only thing airing today. Enjoy your Sunday, guys. Let me know what you think of this statue, and just make some funny comments anyway. Let's make each other laugh today. The world needs it. Take care.